If you're a software developer and you want to use AI, this is the book you need. It shows you how to integrate AI into your software systems in a smart way that will enhance your user experience instead of annoying your users. It's a compact overview of the entire AI ecosystem, focused on what you as a software developer need to know. And you can think of each chapter here as a little pointer towards a whole giant field of study. And there's, of course, this is simplified. There are lots of little pointers to each little subfield, enough that so you can get the lay of the land. And I found this really useful when trying to think about systems. And this video series is an even more compact version of that. And so we're going to do an overview of each of the chapters. So when you decide to pick this up, you can go ahead and jump straight to the chapters that you are most interested in while still having the context of the rest of the book. By the way, if you want this overview map in high resolution and you want to get notified when I make updates to it, go ahead and sign up on my website. Just give me your email and I'll send this to you. So first off, what is AI engineering? So if you look at the AI stack, then there's 3 different layers. So there's application development, where you have the interface with the AI. You have prompt engineering. You have how you build up the context that you're going to feed the LLM in order to have it give you the right answer. And you have evaluation, how to test whether what you're getting back from the entire system is what you really want. Then, a layer down, there's model development. And so this is working with the actual LLMs themselves, building them, getting the data set to build them, doing the modeling and training, and evaluating the models themselves. We do have evaluation here and here because this is evaluating the entire system, whereas this is evaluating just the model. And there's also all sorts of optimizations that you can do, both around training and inference. And finally, there's infrastructure, which is where you just work with the hardware and setting all that up. And so when we talk about AI engineering, we're mostly talking about the application development. So using the LLMs in a system that will actually be sent to customers or used internally to create business value. Model development, it's helpful to know what goes into model development so you can make better decisions. But that's really closer to what we'd call machine learning engineering. And you can learn more about it in this other book by the same author. And I'm partway through it. It's pretty good, but it's not quite the match to what I want to do as AI engineering. And if you're a fan of this channel, you're probably a software engineer, and the same is true for you. And so being able to hang out mostly at this application layer while working with AI is actually pretty new. So if you look at the number of repositories, I believe this is selected by a certain number of stars. You'll notice that the number of applications and AI engineering repositories has skyrocketed in the last 2 years. While everything else has grown, but they were fairly large before, like model development and infrastructure used to take up most of what we saw. But now there's a much more even split. And the way we work is also different. So in ML engineering, because you're in charge of creating the model, you'd have to have a lot of data, and you'd probably want to understand some math. And then you're performing mostly well-defined tasks like classification. Whereas AI engineering, the inputs are fuzzier. It's usually text, sometimes video, or images, but working with LLMs, which is mostly what this book covers. There are parts of AI that are not covered very well, such as computer vision. This is mostly just working with LLMs. Then, it's working with fuzzy text input and working with it in the system. So we also want to look at where AI is useful and where it's not useful. So one important thing to take note of is that getting to a demo is really fast, but you usually can't ship it because there's hallucinations and unexpected issues. And so one question you have to ask is, how accurate does it need to be in order to be useful? And how much damage can errors cause? If the answer to both of those is low, then you can probably ship it pretty fast. But if it's high, getting to that last, getting from 90 to 99% could be 10 times the effort of getting it from 0 to 90%. Getting it from 99 to 99.9 could be 10 times as much effort as that. And so you're looking at 100 times effort going from demo to product. And those are just made up numbers, but they are large. And so oftentimes companies use AI systems for internal facing apps rather than customer facing apps due to that risk. Although the risks are lowering over time as AI systems get better. So we're going to see more and more customer facing apps. And it's also a big speed up on low complexity tasks. So this is just for a graph showing how developers use it. And so you'll see for high complexity tasks, it's a less than 10% speed up. However, the definition of low complexity and high complexity keeps changing. So recently, this is, we're in the era of Claude Code and lots of other, Cursor and lots of other of these agentic builders. And so, there's 3D multiplayer games being created. And this is created mostly with vibe coding. And so obviously, if you wanted this to be a professional game, this would not work. However, it's kind of amazing what you can create. And the level that you can create just with AI tools will keep raising. And so high complexity tasks will get more and more complex over time. Finally, let's take a look at some of the uses of Gen AI. So we all know chatbots and marketing slop, and those are probably people's two least favorite uses of Gen AI. I don't know, people like chatbots. Most of your LLM interfaces are chatbots, but there's also lots of other things that you can use it for. And the number of use cases will keep growing as the power of these keep growing. So obviously coding, we're all coders here. And so if you're not using AI for coding at all, then you need to jump on the bandwagon because it does help a lot. Don't have it write your entire app and send it to production, but it can help a ton. There's also summarizing stuff, extracting data from messy input so you can turn it into JSON, processing documents, knowledge management. These are all kind of related, different angles on the same thing. You can personalize your education. You can do research. There are several new products around this since this book was released. By the way, this book was released in January 2025. So that was 2 months ago. And already some of these things are changing. So I do want to point to a note on whenever you're reading a book, there are 3 sources of error. So it's possible that the author is lying, which is very unlikely for this book. I don't know the author personally, but she seems trustworthy and O'Reilly is trustworthy. And possibility 2, the author is wrong. Also unlikely for this book, although because it covers so many different topics, then, that is a possibility that she's wrong on tiny little things, on corners where she's not quite as much of an expert. Or 3, something in the world changed. And this is actually extremely likely. Oh, and on number 2, my summaries add a layer of possibly being wrong. So keep that in mind. So 3, something in the world changed. And this will happen, especially in a field as fast moving as AI and LLMs. And so we don't know what, but something in this book will be wrong because of that. And the longer we go, the more likely that any given piece of information. I mean, the core concepts are still there, but in terms of what is being used and what we think we know about how LLMs work, that can change. All right. Now back to the GenAI use cases. All right, so you can search over images. So you can have images put into latent space in the same, they're mapped to text. And so then you can use text to search for images. And it will know. Anyways, we'll get to that in a little bit when we go over, in a future video, when we go over multimodal. And there's also image and video generation, which, some might consider slop as well, but I think they're fun. And then the big one, workflow automation. This is huge, and it combines a lot of the other ones. So if you're interested in this, there's a lot more in the actual book itself. And in future videos, we'll be going over the other 9 chapters where I took a lot more notes on each of them. And so we'll be digging more into the specifics of each of the topics. There's foundation models, evaluation methodology, evaluating AI systems. Yes, it's important that there are 2 evaluation chapters. And these are actually different types of evaluation, as you'll see. And prompt engineering and RAG and agents. Yes, they fit all of that into one chapter, which was surprising. But this is a very high information density book. And then fine-tuning, dataset engineering, inference optimization, and finally, the entire architecture of how to put together a system and how to use user feedback. So look forward to the next videos on that. I'll make a playlist, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell.